Hello, CraftyAndy here. These are my thoughts. There's been a lot of talk about video games in the past couple of weeks, especially with The Last of Us 2 dividing the entire nation as we know it.
Dina is pregnant with Jesse's baby. Her and Ellie are trying to start a family. So basically, Ellie, a confirmed lesbian in the game, is going to basically marry a straight woman who's pregnant. They're gonna raise this child together. And, you know, you're trying to tell me this does not sound like a fucking fan fiction, dude. This sounds like the typical shipping bullshit you find on Tumblr.
Among anti-SJWs and SJWs and left-wing people, right-wing people, and all that other stupid bullshit that comes with that, to the point where I'm just kind of waiting to see some unbiased reviews from people like, I don't know, Angry Joe, for instance. But that's not what I'm talking about here specifically. I want to go into what can help make video game stories a little better. There's a reason why one of my favorite video games is Super Columbine Massacre RPG. It's not the shock value, it's the subject matter and how it's handled. I'm confident that I wouldn't compare Last of Us 2 to Schindler's List whenever I get to play it 15 years from now, but I would definitely compare Super Columbine with Elephant.
Hey, you guys.
Both present ideas and questions without clear answers or no answers to why these mass shootings happen and what motivates them. Really, I can't think of many other video games that have you playing as a complete piece of shit. Well, maybe Hatred. At least without some cheekiness behind it, like Hatred. Senua's Sacrifice and The Cat Lady are also rare treats in terms of video game narratives. Smaller stories focusing on personal struggles many people can relate to. Unless you're one of the rich Koch brothers, Koch bro? Both of these games have themes of moving past loss and overcoming mental illness. The Cat Lady, with I imagine a much smaller budget, goes beyond that, involving aspects of letting go and the need to have lifelines and companionship within a world that will break your leg and then belittle you for using a crutch.
Now I understand. I understand why you're so sad all the time.
Tough it out, Skipper. Of course, these are a hard sell compared to, say, Doom Eternal, a game I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Hey kids, wanna kill monsters with big fucking guns? Now let's try The Cat Lady. Hey kids, you wanna play the role of a 40-year-old widow who murders herself with sleeping pills, suffers from depression, and gets tortured by various serial murderers and degenerates? What the fuck's the matter, Billy? Don't you like your video games with full life consequences in them, Billy? You little shit, Billy. Point is, there's a lot of great ideas when it comes to narratives of video games, and I think there's a lot of things that can help the industry if they just get adapted or, you know, people amplify this message, huh? First, we need to tackle more serious topics. Just like the games I just covered, Cat Lady, Super Columbine, Hellblade. That also includes social issues. Sorry, people, but you ever notice that the ones that complain about so-called politics in their games are usually people that politics tend to affect the least?
But that's the core problem with the keep your politics out of my video games argument. It presupposes video games are apolitical to begin with. Like they're these wholesome, pure things that exist free from the taint of ideology or bias or viewpoint. Like they're mathematical expressions or cartographical mappings of the world, and anyone dissecting them in a political or social or cultural context is just bringing their own baggage to the conversation.
Don't you pay me no never mind? Just some foolishness, you know, just monkey shines.
Can race relations really be an off-topic taboo for dissecting or discussing the game when the game itself keeps bringing it up?
I'm sorry that a lesbian character who's a little butch gets you triggered and doesn't allow you to enjoy the game. I'm sorry you can't relate to that person because they're not exactly like you, which is almost the same kind of shit you try to pull on anyone else who asked for these characters. You say, why? You can't relate to them just because they're straight? Why can't you just relate to them? Why does everything have to be gay in order for you to find some kind of common ground with a character that you're enjoying in a book or a movie? Well, bitch, now the shoe's on the other foot. Looks like you can't fucking handle it, can you? It looks as if all that talk about you should be able to relate to a character no matter what their gender or sexuality is, it looks like all that talk was just projection on your part, I guess. Make them shorter. Yeah, Half-Life 2 was great.
Let's keep going. See if we can pick up the road somewhere ahead.
But we're gonna pick the road up alright. Shift things into 12th gear, going off-road, baby!
Half-Life Episode 1 and 2 were even better. They were shorter, better paced and executed. Every area and chapter were just long enough to enjoy, but left you wanting more. I was surprised that this method wasn't picked up on by other developers. Maybe with Call of Duty, from what I hear, where the campaign's at least 4 or 5 hours, but within those 4 and 5 hours, everything just keeps moving along. There's no slowing down, there's no grind, there's no parts that drag on. Get rid of looter shooters, grind fest, and these pseudo campaigns. I know there are a lot of people that enjoy these games almost like a second job, completing the same tasks and missions over and over again for the sake of getting better gear to do the same missions over and over again faster. I like something with a beginning, middle, and end, please. If it wasn't for Blizzard's bootlicking, I would have been hugely interested in a campaign for Overwatch. Maybe flesh out the characters a bit, get into their backstory, except it's obvious we are only going to get a series of missions like Evolved, Vermintide, Left 4 Dead. Fuck you, Blizzard.
So fuck you, Blizzard. Fuck you, I'm gone.
Save the world plots, manifest destiny, and immortal main characters. I think this applies mostly to RPGs and adventure games, where they fall into this trope. The chosen one, the prophecy, the destruction of the world. Fuck that shit. It's overdone, can we try something else? One of the things that made Star Wars great was Luke denying destiny. He was destined to kill Darth Vader. He was destined to take his place.
You cannot escape your destiny. You must face Darth Vader again.
I can't kill my own father.
Then the Emperor has already won. You were our only hope.
And then Luke subverted expectations. Terminator 2 was denying the existence of fate. No fate but what we make, until it makes money. These concepts of destiny, fate, prophecies, karma, the power of friendship, love, souls are all bullshit, as much as they are fun to explore in certain games. But mainstream AAA games are full of these tropes. Hell, even Cuphead was about getting two brothers out of a jam they got into themselves and not being goody-goods saving the world from the big baddie bad. They're just looking out for their own ass. It's probably why, as much as I enjoyed a game like Skies of Arcadia, the characters were just so dead set on being do-rights with no self-doubts, no moral dilemmas in sight. Maybe not have a heroic main character, maybe not even have one that survives, and I'm not talking about like at the end, they sacrifice themselves. I'm talking about surprise us, pull a Hitchcock Psycho moment. Also, making your story more complicated doesn't make it better, Square Enix. Kingdom Hearts 3. I'm warming up to the idea of getting Kingdom Hearts 3, but I never would have imagined I'd be burnt out on a franchise before I played it. I have a Kingdom Hearts 2 standee, and I can say the introduction of nobodies and the inability to explain what they even are adequately, and then have all these different characters from all these different platforms, including a fucking mobile game. I'm sorry, but I even watched a 40-minute explanation of the story last year to try and justify the idea of getting a PS4, and I don't even remember half the plot points, let alone all the extra non-Disney characters introduced. No thanks. We probably won't be seeing a lot of these changes unless there is another crash. A lot of these game companies keep trying to present the illusion that they're having perpetual growth every year, which is insane. Activision, Blizzard doesn't pay taxes. In fact, the government pays them incentives to work here. And all it ends up doing is just stifling creativity. If there's a trend like a MOBA game, for instance, all of a sudden you're getting Pokemon Unite. Ooh, Battle Royale's a thing. All of a sudden you're getting a whole slew of Battle Royales you had no interest in. All the while, more jaded people like myself are more attracted to games like, oh, I don't know, them fighting herds. I want to be a badass llama. Fuck yeah, give me that shit. They gotta do that sure thing as budgets get overblown as prospects get higher and higher, there's going to come a point where things are going to have to be scaled back just a little bit. I don't care if it's the fucking game length, which would probably make them cheaper to make. Maybe more indie titles are going to take off. Maybe the companies are going to split up a bit. That'd be interesting. Who knows? But these are just my thoughts. Yeah, if you want to check out other stuff, the Undertale series first started on Monday and the 6th. Just had the first episode of that. It's going to be nothing but a bunch of Undertale videos going through cringy artwork. Actually, I'm going to be doing Let's Plays on Twitch, 4 p.m. to whenever this week. So with that out of the way, I'll see you next week.